right. Well, welcome everybody to Breaching the Boardroom podcast. I am your host, David Mauro, and in the studio today is Paul Robertson. Very excited to have him on. He is the president and CEO of Home of the Innocents, a phenomenal organization that is driving a lot of benefits for a lot of children and others that are integrated and related, and we're going to hear his leadership story. He's part of leadership at Vistage Worldwide and Cent Ventures. He's an advisory board leader at the University of Louisville College of Business and spent 20 years managing a team of 540 team members across several different states. Excited about having this conversation. Paul, welcome to the studio, sir.
Well, thank you for having me.
Well, we're excited. So tell us about Home of the Innocents. Let's start there. And then I'd like to hear some of the building blocks you received through mentors and leadership experiences, prior to your current role.
Sure. So, Home of the Innocents is a 145-year-old nonprofit. We are located in Louisville, Kentucky. We provide services across a very large spectrum of programs for the children and families for the state of Kentucky. So, our largest program is our pediatric skilled nursing facility. That's our Cozier for Kids Complex Care Center. We are the state's only skilled nursing facility for children. We're excited. We're in the process of expanding that. We're getting ready to grow from 76 beds to 126 beds. So we're very much under rapid expansion there. Then we also provide a behavioral health service array. So we provide residential treatment and foster care services for the children that are in the state's child welfare system. And we also work out in the community to provide parenting education, custody exchanges, and other supports to families that are intended to try to help keep the family strong and together.
That's such a blessing. When you are, your organization's been around. We've all heard about it for years. But when you're engaging in community or government entities, are you coordinating things with school districts, or is it through the court system or law enforcement? Meaning, how do the children in need ultimately find Home of the Innocents, other than the fact that you've been around for 140 years and they probably know you?
Yeah, well, so we're fortunate that we have a wonderful reputation of doing good work in our community for a long time, like you're hinting at. We have a wide array of referral sources. So primarily, we will receive referrals from the state government. So our largest customer really is the Department of Community-Based Services, which is responsible for all the children that are in state's custody. So they are our biggest customer. But we also take self-referrals from families that are seeking service. Some of the other facilities across our city, like as an example, the State Juvenile Detention Center, the local police department, social workers, schools, families, all are referral sources because everyone is directing people to come to us to seek service.
That's a remarkable cause. It's a Catholic-based organization, as I understand.
We are not. We actually started 145 years ago. We started in the Episcopalian faith.
Interesting.
We're a secular organization today, but we honor the legacy of beginning 145 years ago, which really started with a Episcopalian priest and a nun who took responsibility for several abandoned children, and then from that grew our very large mission.
That's fantastic. And have you done a lot of mission work where you've gone to other countries and helped, build out schools or needs, things like that? I'm just curious about the outreach from the organization. Is it tied to other places at all, or is it really concentrated on where the need is most?
Our primary reach is the Commonwealth of Kentucky. We
Got
serve
it.
children and families across all 120 counties here. Sometimes our reach will go beyond the state of Kentucky. We do have some children that are in our care that come to us from other states. Um, so we really don't have an international footprint because so quickly our services are filled to capacity with just quite simply the children here in
That's what I
Kentucky.
was thinking. Yeah. Yeah. And I was thinking Southern Indiana, throughout Kentucky, there's so much need, right? And
Yes.
so that's
There's
remarkable.
about 9,000, sorry to interrupt you, there's about
No, it's good.
9,000 children that are in state's custody. So those are children that have been removed from a home because some type of trauma has occurred. They've been abused, abandoned, neglected, just as an example. And so, you think about it that way. There's over 9,000 children in any one moment that are needing service. So our programs, are always full, and there's a robust waiting list for what we do.
That's phenomenal. Um, do you find the court systems are, I would say, extremely encouraging of your organization? Like I could see how judges, when they're faced with things or certain guardian ad litems, and they're faced with certain challenges, and they recognize this person really needs some help, or they need medical specified unique type of medical care. Are they good allies in general?
They are. It's smart of you to recognize that. We have many of the family court judges right here in Jefferson County where we're located that are incredible partners. They will refer families to us for many of the services that we have.
That's
They
great.
come to some of our fundraising events, to help support, the awareness, the outreach that we're trying to create. They actually were here. I met with all of them just a few months ago to talk about their needs and how we can help serve those needs. So we have a very good working relationship.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Um, yeah, it's so well, nothing is more important when this podcast is based on leadership, and we're trying to glean experiences and get insight and best practices and ideas, right? Because everybody's kind of approaching leadership in certain ways, and um, to me, nothing's more important in leading and in leadership than how we treat the most innocent and the youngest. So that's just remarkable what you guys are doing. So I just got a text because I'm on some list, right? And and I get them every day. It's always from Papa Murphy's Pizza. And for those listeners, there is a reason I'm mentioning this. It's not out of the blue. But in your prior life, in your past life, you were the head and managed a team of 540 people across several states, 19 different Papa Murphy franchises.
Papa John's
Oh,
locations.
Papa John's. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what?
So
I
as
am
you're mentioning,
so
Papa Murphy's
sorry.
one of
You
our
know what?
friendly competitors. Yes.
Yeah, I better edit that out. I am so sorry, Papa John's. But I did get the text from Papa Murphy's.
Yeah,
So that's so weird. Anyway, I do apologize.
that's all right.
Um so tell us, like, first of all, how did you go from that to your current role with Home of the Innocents? Like it's those are two different kind of industries, essentially.
Oh, absolutely. It was a huge career shift. So,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, for 21 years, I was a 19-store Papa John's Pizza franchise owner in the Gulf Coast area down in Florida and Southern
Yep.
Alabama. We were approached about selling. We were one of the top franchise groups in the country, and that made us an attraction for people to want to purchase. We sold in late 2015, and that got me thinking about maybe with the success that I had been fortunate to have already that maybe there was a way for me to pay that forward and to
That's
do
great.
something more impactful. So I began to think about and pray a lot about what I was being called to do, and at the end of a multi-month prayer journey, I was led here to Home of the Innocents, um, which is in my hometown. So it was an opportunity for me to move home. But this 9-year chapter that I'm in right now here really has been very fulfilling because I'm able to take the skills and the experience that I had in the private sector, and I'm able to really help this organization strengthen the way that we operate. Because even though we're a nonprofit, there are still business aspects here. In order to
Oh,
have
yeah.
mission,
You're still
we have
managing people, right? You still have to
right.
you still have to like, set goals, and I mean a lot of the processes are very similar.
They are. I tell people because I think they think that we make all of our decisions just through the lens of business. Business is the foundation that is necessary for us to be sustainable and to have good structure and to have a good workforce culture, and then the mission thrives. And so I'd like to think that that has been why I was called here, is to just help with the infrastructure of that, to help us be strong financially so that we are able to expand our mission so that we can serve more children and families.
What are some of the key leadership challenges you either overcame or good life lessons about leading that you learned in your prior role that maybe you've taken with you or you've learned from and you've made sure never to do that again? Like, are there any, managing that many team members across that many stores? And there's a lot of attrition, a lot of employees come and go. That's a big ask. Like that's a challenge. So, can anything that you can share from life
Sure.
lessons you've learned there?
Well, we were in Florida and Alabama,
Hmm.
6 different cities, 19 different locations. So, geographically very spread out.
It is, yeah.
Um, my partners were my father and my sister were the other
Mhm.
investors in this with me. So one of the things that I think we did well is with that large of a team that's that spread out, we really wanted everybody to feel like they were a key part of our success. So it was really critical that whether you're answering the telephone or whether you're making the pizza or whether you're delivering, you're the person at the door, or maybe you're in the back office doing payroll, or maybe you're the person cleaning, the restrooms. We wanted every single person to really feel like they were a part of our work family and that they were a connection to our collective success. And I think we did a good job at that because in the fast food industry, you normally see a lot of turnover,
A lot of
not a lot of
attrition.
longevity.
Right.
We had people that were with us for 15 years, 20 years,
Wow. See,
which is
that's
just
really
unheard
good. That's
of
a
in the fast
testament to the
casual
culture.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a testament to the personal development, professional development that you provide for them, and then just the culture overall. That's really good.
And I feel like I took that lesson because I think, I learned that there. I brought that here where I'm at now, and I
Of course.
really tried to continue to do that here. That we have 600 team members here at Home of the Innocents, and it is critical that every single person knows how important they are in the delivery of our mission. Every role is necessary, and sometimes people think, "Gosh, I am just the person that's cleaning the floors, or I'm just the person that's maybe providing medical attention to a child." Well, every one of those roles are critically important, and those team
Absolutely.
members need to be seen, valued, and heard.
That's great. What are some of the ways you did that? Like, would you elicit feedback oftentimes from various employees and take that into consideration when making decisions? Like what were some of the practical ways you guys executed on that?
Here at the home,
Yeah.
so we are a trauma-informed organization, which means that
Hmm.
we recognize that the children that come to us have suffered trauma. So the way that we approach that and support that has to be done with intentionality. So to be trauma informed, you have to encourage open communication and you have to encourage democracy. And
Yeah.
those are some of our foundations. And so to answer your question, it's critical that when we're thinking about a new initiative or we're thinking about a new project, that we are seeking feedback from stakeholders across the organization. So
That's ex-
Feedback and what in democracy does not mean that we're asking for consensus and we're asking for a vote from every person, because that might paralyze our ability to move the organization forward. But it's critical that we have listening sessions and listening tours, and that I am rotating and I'm spending time going through the various departments of our mission to spend time with our staff. I love to walk the floor and just listen to what's working well, what's not working well. To be a good leader, I need to know the pain points in order to help inform the decisions that need to be made.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talk about that quite a bit. You at the end of the day, you are leader and the decisions ultimately rest with authority. I mean, there's no getting around that. However, there is strong leadership exhibited by numerous people without titles, right? And there's great ideas and great feedback and great insight. And so having all of that data and those insights from people that are leading, but they might not have the title yet, or they may never have it, right? But the point is that's a leader. They are in this, like regardless of title, they are leading, and they're stepping up and they're giving. And when in a leadership role, when we recognize that, it's so important, because then the decision is made with better context, right? Like it's and you can even explain it to them, like, we considered this and that, we had to decide this way, might not be exactly what you were looking for, but here's the reason why. But I think the important thing is that they're heard and they feel heard, because when people are heard and they feel heard, then they tend to work harder, right? Like they tend to like give their blood, sweat, and tears and not just be there for the paycheck. And it leads to less attrition. There's so many good, tangible benefits that come from that.
Well, again, our trauma informed model teaches us that when a decision is made, we need to provide the why behind the decision,
Exactly. Yeah,
open communication about that. And it's easier for someone to understand the why if they feel like their voice was heard and it was an input into that decision.
absolutely. So, anything significant? Well, I guess it's maybe it's a little obvious. So maybe I'm just stating the obvious, but leading a trauma informed organization like you are now compared to leading a very similar size organization in private industry, what are some of the key differences or approaches? I mean, one you just mentioned, right? Because of the trauma informed, you need to explain the purpose behind it. But my guess is, knowing you probably did that pretty well before also.
Probably, but I just didn't know that it was trauma responsive.
You didn't.
I had to come here to be trained and developed to understand that. I think that I found out very quickly when I got to Home the Innocents that motivating people in the nonprofit space is very different than motivating people in the private sector, because people in nonprofit work choose to be here because they are mission driven. That's a little
Right.
different than the private sector. The private sector is really incentivized by return on investment. They're incentivized by compensation, rewards, performance, merit, that type of thing. That doesn't mean that people in the nonprofit space don't value those things as well, but you get a lot more motivation and inspiration out of a nonprofit team member when you can help them see how their work is making a difference, especially in the life of a child. So one of the things that really is priceless is just lifting up examples, tangible examples of our mission. And so one of the things I think that's one of my most important responsibilities is I start every board, I end every committee or board meeting with an example of our mission. We call them mission moments. And we celebrate the positive successes of what we do. And when we do that, you can just see team members smiling and just so proud of their efforts. And I think that just has there's just, it's hard to put a price tag on that. And I had to come here to learn that. I would not have expected that until I got here.
That's phenomenal. I mean, there are various leaders that we've spoken to who say that when they have, and it's a little different between different generations, maybe, right? Some focus on mission more than others. I don't know. There's some data to support that, but I think it's very individual. And and when the mission drives them, then it's more just about, supporting them and getting them the resources they need, removing roadblocks, because the vision is driving them, the mission is driving them, and that's a remarkable opportunity for great leadership.
Well, it puts responsibility on us as leaders to make sure that we are remembering to inspire and keep people focused on what we make possible, what our vision is, what our direction is, what our purpose is as well. Um, those are just things that in the nonprofit space we have to spend a lot more time focused on keeping top of mind for our team members.
Sure. One of the challenges that I hear regularly is a lot of leaders, they want to be liked, they want to be respected, and they want their people to stay, right? And they want them to grow, and and they want to have that great positive collaborative culture. But too far on the extreme, people don't get stuff done or not timely, right? Like, how do you manage to convince people, motivate, inspire them to get things done as expected, right? And still maintain that positive that positivity, and for them to know you still have their back, but we've got expectations you've agreed to execute, and if they're stuck, or if the effort's not there, like how and maybe that's something that you saw more so in the private sector than in the mission driven sector.
Well, so here I have six direct reports, the people that are on my executive team that report directly to me. I feel that as I am demonstrating how I want to support them and thereby modeling how I wish them to also support their teams. And that begins to cascade down all the way through our organization. So I think the way that we make that possible is, first of all, I have to establish a safe environment where
Yep.
people feel safe so that like, we can have conflict and it's done in a productive way. They have to know that I'm going to support them, that I'm going to help them be engaged. That comes with relationships. That comes in time and support. But I think the way that I'm able to get people motivated and to be successful is I'm very goal driven. So I start with three goals for myself for the year. I ask for each of my team members to have three goals for themselves. Those goals are linked together because they have to be threaded together.
Right.
And then every quarter we have three goals that are smaller bite-sized pieces that help us to achieve those yearly goals. We keep those goals very visible. They're measured. They're talked about. If any of my team members that work for me were on this call, they would tell you, "Oh yes, he is very goal driven." But I think what gets measured gets done, and that came to me. That's a learning from the private sector side. That was
Yes.
something that the Papa John's founder John Schnatter was really passionate about. That what we measure gets succeeded in. And so I
Yes.
really brought that with me here. And I think that has just really served us well here.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. That's exactly, I was recently in Michigan doing a leadership group, and that's exactly what the consensus was. That's exactly what the measurement, what the message was about. What gets measured gets attended to, what gets attended to gets done, and just that ongoing touch base and keeping things visible gets you ultimately at least as close as you humanly, as the market allows, or as human behavior affords us to reach those goals, right? I mean,
Yes.
it's phenomenal. um Let me ask you this. When you bring on somebody in leadership, or you're managing somebody in leadership, and toward the end of the year you feel, while they've really demonstrated great leadership, are there any like one or two qualities that cause you to feel that way? Like, are there some
That
things that you've seen in people that you're like, they are, that is, those qualities are the essence?
Well, so I've been leading teams for almost 30 years now, and I think some of the common denominators for success really come back to good communication skills. So when you have the ability to articulate a problem, lean into discussing that issue, the ability to provide clarity to your team, communication is just critical. So I think that for sure bubbles to the top. But I think people that have a high emotional intelligence also have great success because if you're going to motivate a team, if you're going to hold a team accountable, if you're going to praise and award a team, you have to be emotionally connected. You have to be
Yeah.
sensitive. You have to be empathetic. You have to be sensitive. And I think you hear a lot about that now. We didn't hear so much about that, 15, 20, 30 years ago. But I think when I look at my team, the ones that are the most emotionally intelligent do the best.
That's phenomenal. And that is a skill set, right? Like emotional intelligence is something that can be learned and can be trained on and developed over time.
Well, I think some of it it can be trained. You're absolutely right. Some of it though is in the way that we're programmed. Some people are just
Yeah.
more predisposed to being sensitive versus
Absolutely.
others. So if you're someone, and many men are like this, right? I mean, it just make a gender stereotype. Most men might not lean into a vulnerable, sensitive side, right? But that can be developed. It can be strengthened. It's a muscle that
Right.
can be strengthened, and you just have to be open and willing to do it.
Oh yeah, 100%. There's definitely people that are more naturally inclined that way. And then you look up the poster child of people that are not wired that way and you'll see me, but then you'll see how I develop it, right? Because you have to,
Yes.
right? To lead, it's really really critical. That's phenomenal. Tell me something a little bit about the types of children that you guys are helping. Are they, what type of needs do they have? Are these behavioral challenges, economic challenges? They're probably a little bit of all, but are there like, is it severe autism or severe medical issues that can't be handled regularly, or the the family model that they have or lack thereof, doesn't afford that? Share a little bit about that, please.
Well, all of the above, everything that you
That's what I
just
thought.
said. So, in our skilled nursing facility that
Hmm.
serves children, the average child there has 26 medical or behavioral health diagnoses. So, there are extreme medical needs that are being met by the nursing care that we're providing, the respiratory therapy care that we're providing. There are behavioral needs as well. In fact, across the entire spectrum of everything that we do, there's been a profound growth in the need to support behavioral health challenges. So, it was already becoming a growing issue before COVID-19, but then post COVID-19, with the isolation that happened, some of the societal pressures
Sure.
that are going on with children today, we're seeing just an alarming rise in self-harming behaviors,
Hmm.
the ideation of wanting to hurt themselves or to hurt others. So those needs are there, and a lot of the children that we serve come out of the home that they were in. They're removed from that home because of abuse, abandonment, neglect. So there's a history of addiction in the home. There's a history of anger, um, violence. There's a history of lack of coping skills. So it's all there, and so a lot of what we do, we're reacting to that when the child comes to us, but also when we're out in the community. I mentioned at the beginning of this that we're out, providing preventative services. that's where we're trying to get upstream of some of these problems, and we're trying to get into the homes and provide coping skills and therapies and supports and resource that is meant to try to reunify or strengthen the family. Because if we can do that early on, then we can maybe prevent a child from needing to even come into our services, which is, ideal for us.
Absolutely. Like if you can prevent it up front, or minimize it or limit it, then that's obviously the holy grail of it, right?
Yes.
How have you, and maybe not so much, but are you leveraging technology in any certain ways that you found helpful? I mean, obviously the facilities have technology, people use it, you have security in place, etc. But I'm curious about is there anything that you're finding unique, or any certain technologies that you all have been able to leverage that you found helpful?
Well, we have a lot of different solutions that we use as big of an organization as we are. We have several electronic health records that help us with
Mhm.
the charting and the documentation of the care that we're providing. We're always working to optimize those systems to work that is best in alignment with the way our staff need to work. Um,
Mhm.
that sounds simple, but that's again an example of listening to the pain points of our team members, then working to optimize these systems that help support them. Um, we also have a lot of investment in life-saving systems like our nurse call system, our respiratory monitoring systems, that are monitoring the breathing, the SATs of our children that are on the medical side. But in the last probably 5 years, we've increased our spend on technology. We used to spend about 1% of our budget. That's up to
Mhm.
about 6% of our overall budget now, just to share a
Yep.
number.
Yep.
And so we're trying to bring in creative solutions that help provide support. So one of the things we're getting ready to do is we're buying a solution that is just going to help leaders be better leaders, that it's going to help them structure their meetings better, that are in alignment with the personality types of the people that are on their teams. It's going to provide wraparound supports for how you do really good rounding and coaching with your team members and how it can more seamlessly fold into the performance management that is so critical for us as leaders. That may not sound glamorous, but having that solution automate that for us makes it easier for the leader, which makes it easier for them to spend more time leading their team.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it becomes built into the processes that you're doing and the culture and everything else. Um, yeah, I mean, I've found in the last 15, 20 years, things have really changed, especially when you think of electronic health records and healthcare in general of any kind. And that is, we've become so much more dependent on it, right? And 15, 20 years ago, we had computers in the office, but frankly, if they went down, we were still okay, generally speaking. Like as a generalization, I mean, we were still okay. We could still function. We still had physical processes in place, and we could operate until things got back up and going. But today we're so interdependent, right? Nurse doesn't come in with a full stack of paper medical records so that they can render care. It's all in an EHR, in a
Right.
health record set on a tablet or on a laptop in the room, etc. So it's really remarkable how much the advancement is. And then because we are cybersecurity people and this is what the world that we live in, it's much more detrimental that it's blurred the lines now between our physical and our digital worlds, right? They're so interdependent, and as well as our personal lives and then our work lives, because the habits they have at home, they bring to work with them.
Well, the one thing I might mention, just to bookend on my previous response, AI is being talked about so much right now. We are trying to get accelerated into this discussion, this discovery, and how it can benefit us. In the last year, we've spent some time thinking about what our strategy is. How can we best utilize artificial intelligence in the work that we do? I'm hoping in this upcoming year, we're going to begin to put more structures in place that
Hmm.
will provide ethical demonstrated appropriate uses of artificial intelligence that are appropriate for the healthcare space that we're in. That
Yep.
helps provide efficiencies for our team members. And again, leadership is going to have to model this. We're going to have to help show how artificial intelligence can be used and how it can help impact our mission.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we work with healthcare organizations all the time, and there's various attempts and efforts, and some have been very successful, and some organizations have started in fits and starts, and it's not all cohesive. Um, but there's so many advances that can be done, but it's got to be it's got to be a protected way. It's got to be done ethically, and used properly. And putting those policies in place is really key.
Yes.
Yep. I mean, we've seen it everywhere from being able to summarize notes, uh, medical records, to meeting notes, to creativity, to um, gleaning various data sets, visualizing them. Especially in healthcare, it's there's so much data and there's so much information, but being able to take all of that and what would be a manual process and be hours and hours of detailed analysis or visualization and charting or dashboards, AI is really leading the way and just speeding that process up, which would be good.
Yes.
That's phenomenal. So I understand you guys recently, what was it, about 5 6 months ago, you guys broke ground on a ex- extended medically complex facility.
We did. So in January, we broke ground on what is going to be a 76,000 square foot expansion of our skilled
Sweet.
nursing facility. So currently, we have 76 beds that are on 5 neighborhoods that we have about almost 300 team members in that part of what we do. There's so much need across the state, so we were very happy to be able to bring 50 additional beds online. So that construction is underway. So right behind me, out through those windows there, it's in our backyard on our beautiful campus in downtown Louisville. So we're fortunate. It's a very expensive endeavor. It's a $75 million project.
Yep.
We have raised almost 60 million of the 75 million. And so we wanted to get the project started because it's going to take 2 years to build, but it is our hope that it will come online in early 2027 and we will be successful towards our campaign. And then we'll be able to welcome 50 additional children, especially those that are ventilator dependent, because we're building all 50 of these beds to support the high breathing acuity needs of the children of our community, because that's the way our kids are coming to us. They're stepping down out of hospitals on a ventilator in need of ventilator care.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, and what better cause? So we will have links in our show notes. And if people want to get involved or find out more about Home of the Innocents, how would they do that, Paul? Just go to the site, Home of the Innocents. We will have links to
Absolutely.
everything. Yeah, we'll have
Yeah.
links to everything. If somebody
Yeah,
wants to,
homeoftheinnocents.org is our website. And if you go there, it explains what we're doing, the expansion, there's pictures of that. And if somebody wants to find out how to get involved, there's great opportunities for volunteering, donating, connecting, all of that.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for all you do and all that the organization does. It's a remarkable need, and it's something that needs to be replicated in every single state. And it is to some degree, but some states aren't as developed as we all are here in Kentucky, and especially when it comes to the most vulnerable in society. So
Well, it really is an honor for me to lead this wonderful organization. It's been a wonderful chapter in my career, and I'm honored to be able to do it. And I appreciate you having me on to talk about it.
well, I mean, you never have to think about the mission, right? The mission is there, and you are you you know. I imagine you get up, every morning, and like the vision is driving you. The mission is driving you, and that's where
Oh,
the
it does.
yeah, and that's where the culture and execution. It's it's really a good petri dish to for excellence, in my opinion, because you're able to have everybody kind of initially driving, everybody aligned, because you all have the same vision in mind. You know, Steve Jobs talked about that in Apple, in Apple's mid-term days. About 20 years ago, he would say, like, you know, how when the vision is there and we just aren't, and the technology just isn't there, we all are going in the same direction, and that's when they were the most effective, it seemed, right? Because they like the vision to democratize technology, have these beautifully designed, you know, systems in everybody's homes. Like, it wasn't a thing then, right? But that bigger mission was what was driving them. And here, by far more important, right? It's helping the most vulnerable and the youngest and the most innocent. So I love
Well,
what you guys do, and if we can encourage you and engage with you guys in any way and help you out, we will definitely do that.
thank you. I was just going to say, as you were commenting on that, there are days where our mission is very heavy,
Hmm.
because there's a fragility to the population that we
Of
serve.
course.
But any day that I feel overwhelmed or stressed, and there's some of those, I always try to then go back and remember, who do we serve?
Right.
Why are we here?
Yeah.
What are we making possible? And that really helps you navigate the heaviness of the mission.
That's phenomenal. Well, Paul Robinson, thank you so much. Homeoftheinnocents.org. We will have links in their show notes, and we wish you nothing but the best, and we will stay in touch, and we will talk again soon, my friend.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for your insight.